I would call to order the Village of Westmont Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for May 11th, 2016. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Carmichael? Here. Commissioner Sharp?
Here.
Commissioner Van Buren is here. Commissioner Pill?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Bartel?
Here.
And Chairman Richard?
Here.
We have a quorum.
If you would please all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I have you all standing, folks. Please, if you care to give any testimony tonight, either for or against any item, you got to be sworn in. So if you please raise your right hand, that I swear that any testimony I give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you. I would ask that you silence any and all electronic devices, please. Next order of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes of our March 9th meeting. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pill, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. A question on the motion? May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael? Yes. And Chairman Richard?
Yes. All right, the minutes as presented are adopted. Under old business, Planning and Zoning Item 16004, SKE Property Investments regarding the property located at 230 South Cass Avenue, Westmont for the following. Item A, the zoning code variance request for relief from the minimum square foot per building in the R4 General Residence District. Item B, zoning code variance request for relief from the maximum allowable density in the R4 General Residence District. Item C, site and landscaping plan approval to build a new single-family semi-detached dwelling. Item D, preliminary plat of subdivision request to split one lot into two buildable lots in the R4 General Residence District. Good evening, sir. Your name, please?
Ian McDonald.
And would you sign in? There's a form up there for you. I would ask that anybody that comes up to the podium to talk this evening, if you would please sign in at the podium.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a quick announcement?
Of course.
Our audio-visual specialist has asked that when you're at the podium, you try to get close enough to the mic so that for recording in our home audience, it can be picked up clearly. Thank you.
And sir, you are?
I'm the architect on the job for the project.
Thank you.
Yeah, basically, we came in 2 months ago, I think it was, requesting the variances. And at that point, the builder was, he did not split the lots, so now we're back. He has split the lots into two different lots. So we're looking for, a variance for the two units. The property is at 6,700 square foot for a 3-bedroom unit. The property has 4,538 square foot per unit, and I believe the property has 4,500 square foot per unit, and it needs to have 6,700 for 3 bedrooms. So that's one of the variances that he's looking for. And also, the property is only 9,000 square foot as opposed to the 12,000 square foot, which is required. And to the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances of the property value. When she bought it, due to the downturn of the economy. The economy and the property value of this property would not yield a reasonable return to do if he did not get this variance. And the variation, if it's altered, it will not alter the essential character of the location. You know, there's other buildings that are similar to what he's doing, what he's looking, and what he's proposed to do. So that's really all I have to say.
Okay, very good. Could we have input from staff, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As Ian had stated, that this was in March, the last time we looked at it. The one modification, although I'll go through everything that's being requested, is that there is a lot subdivision in conjunction with the variance requests. So they're looking at two variance requests. One is to the minimum square feet per building. The other is for relief from the maximum allowable density. Also, it's site and landscaping approval because this is an R4 district which requires site and landscaping approval, and then the preliminary plat of subdivision. Just to reflect from last time, it's a duplex is formally what it is. The last time it was presented to us, it was on one lot. So whether it was owner-occupied, one side was always going to be a rental, or if it was a complete rental, both sides would be rentals. It was at the recommendation of the commission that the applicant look into subdivision because the duplexes that are to the north of this, there are two immediately north and I think one or two, a few more lots north. Those were all subdivided so that the units could actually be sold as owner-occupied homeowner units. It does change the density numbers. So for the required lot area, based on the new lots, which are actually half the size of the original one, it would be a 9.2% density variance. They're both just 460 square feet too small. The total required lot area, it does seem a little bit high at 62%. And that's what it is the minimum square feet per building for a multifamily of this is 12,000 square feet. So the way we're considering this is that there's two lots, there's one building on each lot. Granted, it's half a building, not a full building. We were erring on the side of being more conservative on this number. So basically, it is the same project, but that density number has doubled because it is it's one building on two lots now. Other than that, he does have comments from the landscape architect. Those will be remedied by the time it goes to village board. They're just minor. It's a tree species and tree counts. And I think I had passed out at the last meeting a revision to the front where it was going to be all brick. Now it is formally a part of the packet. The front of the house will be all brick, just like the neighboring duplexes.
Okay. Very good, sir. But since you are asking for a variance, state law requires that you prove a hardship to us in order to be eligible to have a recommendation for a variance. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Would you be able to build this facility on this property with the lot size? Would you be able to buy property to either side to accommodate the building plans and not need a variance?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, so if I know the property, so I know they're both built on, so each side of you, so it's a physical impossibility for you to increase your lot size.
Correct.
Okay, very good. I would like to ask the audience if anybody would care to comment either for or against this proposal. Please don't be afraid. Oh, please, sir, if you would. Yes.
My name is Ron Robinson. Right now I'm with Christian Brothers, which is one of the lots starting with 226 Cass, South Cass. And some of the concerns, questions would be such as, one, we don't have an understanding of how close, if that property, if that facility is built on that property, how close will it come to the facility on 226 Cass? Is it a matter of a few feet, or is it going to be even a shorter distance where you can almost reach out your window and touch your building, which then brings into questions about water drainage. How will water be drained, especially if that lot's being taken up majority by that house? Is there any type of French drain or anything that's going to ensure that water runoff will not leave from that property to the 226 Cass and other houses? being that the way it looks like the downward slope of that property is, that runs downward from south to north, and we're on the north side of that property, so water runoff's going to come to that. What type of assurances would we have that we won't have any water drainage problems to, the base of the property, the basement of the property, or any other part of the property in terms of the structure? I can't speak to whether the other neighbors are willing to sell their property or not on the south side. Obviously, Christian Brothers on the north side is not. But we have nothing to say that that the people on the south side would sell the property or would not. We don't know if they've ever been asked.
Sure, I understand.
And I'm not even sure if Christian Brothers has been asked either. So, to that I will not speak. But, we've never seen the plan, so we don't have any understanding of what impact it's going to have on the neighboring property that Christian Brothers presently owns and maintains.
Okay, we have plans here, sir, and I'm going to ask Mr. Hannafin if you would address these concerns about,
He was also ready to.
Yeah. Our village engineer, Noriel Noriega, is here, and he can
Oh, I'm
explain
sorry,
the,
okay.
the
I didn't mean to
stormwater,
step
and then-
on your toes,
And then we'll
Noriel.
display the stormwater overhead.
Good evening, Commissioners. Basically, your first question was discussing how close of their property. We do have building setback requirements, and right now, their last plan set was 6.5 feet from the property line. So between if your property is here, there should be almost approximately 12 feet, 12-plus feet between.
Noriel, let me interrupt for a second. Can we get the overhead turned on? Thank you.
So right now, their property, their built structures are being proposed 6.5 feet from the property line. I don't recall the exact dimension for the townhome to the north of this property, but I'm assuming it's around 6 feet as well. Okay. Now, during the review and the permit process, we will be reviewing stormwater. As part of their requirements, they will be providing detention and water quality, DuPage County water quality requirements. Something different than what was proposed for your developments. So there was actually going to be in the front setback along Cass Avenue, there's going to be an underground detention that will be created. So the majority of the stormwater will be directed towards such.
Okay, to the underground detention
Correct.
Device, and then at some point, some device cycling that water out.
It will be released at a controlled rate into the village's storm sewer system.
Okay.
My name is Robert Visowski, and I live at 226 South Cass. And our main issue was the concern, as Ron suggested, about the water, because about 2 years ago, there were cracks formed in our basement, and we had a flood. And so we want to make sure that in the future, that doesn't happen again. We had to redo the whole basement because of that flooding water. So that's one thing. I do wonder, the gentleman who owned the property at 234 was here last time. I don't think he's here this time, but he was using it as a rental to his daughter, and I believe they moved out. So I think there might be a question as to whether or not he might like to sell that property or continue to rent it. So that's a question mark at this time.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Just one question. Are we allowed to get a copy of these plans later
We will discuss that with you regarding the FOIA request.
on? Okay.
Okay. Now, just a little bit in terms of what is being required for the stormwater control, stormwater management of the site. There will always be a storm that is going to be greater than what we designed this for. So, but the stormwater facility is being designed for the increase impervious area of this site. So it is being site-specific for this. Will it help with the smaller rain events? Yes. Again, this is one of these designs where they are actually investing a significant amount of money, providing an underground detention on an already small site, directing their own sump pump and downspouts into this detention basin, which will then be directed and released into the village's storm sewer system at a controlled rate.
Mr. Noriega, at the very least, though, will there be a berm or on each side of the property, because there's a significant slope of property from south to north? So will there be?
They are not actually showing a berm being proposed on site. But however, they are grading the property to accommodate the existing grades along both sides, accepting the stormwater off of the neighboring properties and directing it toward the detention facility, which is in the front setback. Yes.
What you are designing for is for the building that's going to go there. In other words, you're not going to solve all the water problems that the neighbor had before. You're just saying that no more water will run off after this is built and did run off before it was built. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, any further public comment, please? Father, if you would.
There is a retaining wall on the north end of 230, and whether that's owned by the people, the owner of 230, or is it owned by the owner of 234? But there is a wall is in place right now. Looks like it's it looks like it's very old. It's cracking and so forth.
According to the detailed grading plan that I have, it shows remove existing concrete wall along property line.
That's the one.
May I add? We'd have to look a little bit closer on the survey. The scale shown does show portions of that concrete retaining wall on the property for 230, and portions of it are definitely shown on the property at 234.
So unless there's an agreement, it's got to stay.
Agreement, they could only remove what is on their property.
Yes.
So both owners would have to agree upon what will be done with that wall?
Correct. Unless you were to concrete saw the wall right along the property line, but you cannot destroy another person's property. At least you should not.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Is there anybody else who will speak on this issue? Okay, seeing no hands raised, we're going to close the public comment, and we'll start with Commissioner Carmichael, please.
Well, we covered this pretty well in the previous meeting, and I am in favor of it, and I have nothing to add.
Commissioner Van Buren?
Yeah, so this is, the variances that are being requested are pretty much the same as those of the three other duplexes that are right in that same immediate vicinity. And so it's not changing the character at all of the immediate area. So I'm all for it.
No variances, right? Okay, I'm sorry, Wally. Commissioner Pill?
Yes, as we stated earlier, I think Commissioner Carmichael, we really talked about this in depth 2 months ago. The plans have been altered now to update them and reflect better landscaping, the brick facade, and there's better engineering as far as the stormwater. and I think that that will continue to be developed to your satisfaction as neighbors in that area. So with that, I do support this.
Commissioner Thomas?
I support it also. I think it's a good transition from living facilities into the downtown area. It makes perfect sense to me, and I support it.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yeah, I also support it. I think it's, given the context on the street, it's a very appropriate request, and I think the stormwater sounds like it will either stay the same or be a hair better than it is today.
Commissioner Bartel?
I agree with all of the above comments and support it as well.
The only question I had was on the driveway. It almost looked like there were hexagonal lines drawn on the driveway. Is that for permeable pavers, or is that to be strictly bituminous asphalt?
I believe they are permeable clay pavers.
For the driveway? Yeah. So that should help with the infiltration of the water. We won't be shutting it
I think it's
north.
50%.
Correct, yes.
Something like that. Well, yeah, I forget.
They count 50% for zoning.
Pardon?
If they're permeable, they count 50% for
50%,
zoning.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, very good, sir. Thank you. All right, we have a reading of findings of fact that are necessary for a variance. This reading will apply to both variances, although we will vote on each variance independently. May I have a reading of the findings, please?
Okay, this is PZ 16004 SKE Property Investments regarding 230 South Cass Avenue. Request for variances to allow relief from the minimum square foot per building and for relief from the maximum allowable density for property in the R4 General Residence District. Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. Findings of fact, the highest and best use of this property is a residential duplex development. Given the 2 duplex developments to the immediate north, the proximity of this property to the central business district, and given its location along Cass Avenue. In order to meet market demand and yield a reasonable return, these variances are necessary. Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. Findings of fact, similar density variances were granted for 2 duplex developments to the immediate north. 3-bedroom units are required to meet market demand. Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. Findings of fact, the 2 adjacent properties to the north contain similar residential duplex developments. This proposed duplex is consistent with the underlying zoning and the village's comprehensive use plan for the area. This duplex development will provide all appropriate transitional use to the village's central business district to the north and is an appropriate use given to the property's location on heavily trafficked Cass Avenue. This proposed development will not result in adverse stormwater, parking, or traffic concerns and will not alter the character of the neighborhood.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. Therefore, the findings of fact for a variance are adopted and approved. Under Planning and Zoning Item 16004, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees a zoning code variance request for relief from the minimum square feet per building in the R4 General Residence District.
So moved.
Second.
That's a motion by Commissioner Carmichael, seconded by Commissioner Bartel. Question on the motion, please. Roll call.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard?
Yes. Okay, since we have reading of findings of fact for our second variance, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the village board a zoning code variance request for relief from the maximum allowable density in the R4 General Residence District.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Pill. Question on the motion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes, and Chairman Richard?
Yes. Okay. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, item C, site and landscaping plan approval to build a new single-family semi-detached dwelling.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Van Buren, seconded by Commissioner Carmichael. Question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard.
Yes. Okay, item D, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, preliminary plat of subdivision request to split one lot into two buildable lots in the R4 General Residence District.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pill, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard.
Yes. All right, sir, you have our recommendation for approval, but we are only in a recommending body. Village staff can tell you when you go before the village of a whole, and they are the people that will either grant or deny our request. Good luck to you, sir. Next item on the agenda, new business. Planning and zoning item 16006, Elliott Carpentry LLC regarding the property located at 350 East Richmond, Westmont, Illinois for the following. Zoning code variance request for relief from the minimum lot area for a dwelling in the R3 single-family detached residence district.
I'm the architect also on this project, and basically the lot size is about 7,400 square feet, 7,429 total square feet, and the required minimum lot for an R3 zoning is 7,800 square feet. So we're looking for a variance to allow a single-family home on this platted lot.
Okay. Again, the variance is, there is no way for you to increase this lot size, that
No, no,
everything is built up all around you?
correct.
Okay, very good. Staff, if you could, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant's requesting a variance from the relief from the minimum lot area of 7,800 square feet. As he stated, it is about 7,429 feet. A little history on this lot. It was re-subdivided in about 1973. All the lots on the north side of this block are about the same size. All the other lots were built in the 70s, maybe earlier if there was some established earlier. This lot for a time period was actually village-owned. It had an emergency well on it, which was abandoned many years ago. The village sold it as surplus property many years ago, and I think the current owners have been sitting on it for some time. So it does fit the character of the neighborhood. I will state that the applicant has submitted plans for a two-story house there. They are taking advantage of the recent text amendment, which allows them to come up to 25 feet instead of the normal 35 feet. I think the home immediately to the west of it is actually set back about 15 feet. He meets all the other setbacks. He meets lot coverage requirements. It seems to be a good fit for the lot.
Thank you very much. Will anybody from the audience speak on this issue, either for or against? If you would, please.
Hi, I'm Catherine Gibson, and I am the neighbor just to the west on 340 East Richmond Street. I just have a few questions, just since I'm going to be living there. Would like to know, there is an existing well, which I've seen many times. Is it filled in? And is that going to affect drainage? Is it something that underground aquifers feed into that, you know, I don't know much about construction, so just would like to know how that affects things. I think that's a big issue around here. Just wanted to know, since I don't have the plans in front of me, but just, does it fit, does the proposed plans fit the dimensions of the lot. I believe he said they mostly did. And just, how does that affect basically the neighbors in terms of permeability, water runoff, and size and character of the house? So just a few things to address.
Okay, I would ask our village engineer to answer your questions, if you would.
Hi, good evening. The well has been abandoned, and we had followed all IEPA regulations in terms of abandoning that well. Should not affect in terms of stormwater management for the site. Okay, the overall look of the home, I don't have anything on that end, but in terms of grading and stormwater control, they will be submitting grading plans for the village, for village permitting. They will have to adhere to our requirements and also DuPage County's requirements for stormwater control.
And what is the square footage of the house
I-
that's proposed, just out of curiosity?
What's
2,600 square feet.
She's asking.
And
If you could speak into the microphone so
Sorry.
the home audience can
I
hear
was
you.
asking what the square footage of the proposed house is, because most of the houses in the area tend to be a lot smaller. My house being 1,400 square feet above grade. So I was just asking to be sure that that was part of the character of the neighborhood as well, being that the houses are fairly small all around. So,
And the one comment was made is that the house does comply with all the setback requirements of the side yard, rear yard, front yard. The village also has a lot coverage requirement that says impervious surface cannot cover more than 35% of the lot, and this complies with that requirement, so it's not going to be all
And
paved.
height restrictions, you said it was 25?
35 feet is the maximum, and that's to the middle of the roof. This one, I want to say, tops out probably around 32.
Okay.
So if you were looking at the midpoint of the roof, it's a bit lower than the 35.
Okay. So it meets special, okay, those were my questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any further public comment? Questions?
Excuse me, what was the answer to that question on the abandoned well? How will that be dealt with? They fill it in, or what?
The well has been abandoned already, so we followed IEPA guidelines in filling it in and removing it.
Okay,
Okay?
it's already done.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, let's close the public comment. We'll start with
There may be one more public comment back there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed. I did not mean to slight you, I'm sorry.
Well, I was still trying to figure the process.
If you would sign in and give us your name, please.
No, it wasn't so much of a question that I had, but I definitely have concern with the size of the house that's going there, especially since it's on a smaller lot. I live on Oak Avenue, that for such a great big house to be built on a lot that is smaller than what is allowed is where my concerns are. I just wanted to let you know what that is.
Okay, very good.
And I'll just inform you that right now, his lot coverage is at 30%. And I think that Noriel has already expressed that it could go to 40 with administrative approval, so he is trying to minimize the impact on the lot.
Yeah, I'm more of the overall size of it, that's nothing like that is around there on a small lot.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further public comment? Okay, let's close the public comment. Let's start with Commissioner Carmichael, if you would.
Excuse me, are you Mr. Elliott? So you are the owner and builder on South Cass? And you are the contracting builder on this property? Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. No, I think the plan is sound from what I've seen to deal with the size of that. I'm not sure how the appearance of a new home would fit in with the neighbors, but given the restrictions on lot size and that 30 to 40%, I don't think it would be too.
Well, and also with the small lot, by taking advantage of bringing it up to that 25-foot setback, it actually creates a usable rear yard versus pushing it all the way
That's
to the
what it
back.
sounds like to me. I have no objection to this.
Commissioner Van Buren?
The real question here is, the only reason this is before us is because the lot is 7,429 square feet, whereas the required amount for an R3 is 7,800. So it's not the size of the house. He's meeting all the regulations on setbacks and so on. Our question is, can anybody build any house? So this could be a house of 1,000 or 1,500 square feet, and we'd still be making the same decision. Is this lot, are we going to give that variation to someone to build a house on this lot? So I don't have any problem with it. It fits, he's staying within the requirements.
Commissioner Pill?
Excuse me. Thank you. I don't really have any problem with this either. I do have a question for either the architect or the builder. This is just from years of reading these plans. I was curious, in the master bathroom situation, you have entering the walk-in closet through the master bath. I've often seen it flip-flopped to put the master bath having windows and a view. I was curious what your thinking was on this.
Organize myself with plans. Sorry. We do have windows above the tub there, so I think it was just a design to, minimize circulation, to kind of use the hallway in the bathroom to get to the closet, basically.
Just, I've not seen many people having to walk through someone in a shower and in a tub and in the bathroom to get to their closet. It's usually flip-flop the other way, but I like the idea in general. This was more just a personal curiosity because I've not seen it this way in many, many years of doing this. So anyway, good luck with it.
Commissioner Thomas?
I support it. They're coming in under the guidelines. They're legal, and it's not going to be a thing in the neighborhood. It makes good use of it. I support it.
Commissioner Sharp?
I just second what Commissioner Van Buren reasoned in regards to the lot size and the reason that we are looking at this today. I mean, from what I understand, when this was subdivided, the restrictions, size of house or size of lot were actually greater, and they've now been reduced. So it's kind of the village who made this lot non-conforming to start with, and I would agree fully that if we want a house on the lot, we need to acknowledge that.
Okay, Commissioner Bartel?
I agree with the above, and it meets the requirements. When I looked at it, I had a little bit of a question about it. It does slope down in an easterly direction, but as long as the flood management, the storm water is managed, I don't have any problem with it. I'm supportive.
Thank you. I would question the builder on the flow of water on the property, since there is such a steep enough grade that there's a 7-foot difference from west to east. If you could come up to the podium, please.
The engineer has solved all the problems. He put permeable pavers in the driveway,
Yes?
so that takes, let's say, 30% of the water away, and then it all kind of comes around the corner, out towards the front. So
I'm sorry, say that again?
it's all graded towards the front to get onto the street, as far as I know.
All right. So that'll be all of the water flow from the west of your property?
Yes.
It'll be at the backyard, it flows. We've got an elevation at the back of your house from 740 down to 736, 735 at the northeast portion of your property. So you're going to have water flow going back that way.
Yes.
It won't be going toward the street. Is there any way that we can get a swale in there? Mr. Noriega, if you would. on the east side of this property, because as far as I'm concerned, you're going to have continuous water flow, and I don't know where downspouts are going to be, sump pump discharge, et cetera. So what are we going to have along that east property line to protect the homes over there?
Much of the grading, just like for any standard subdivision, will be either directed toward the rear of the property or the front of the property and away from the actual direction of the neighboring household. So depending on exactly how the grades are, I know that the general grading plan of this, or grading contours of this entire area heads in the south-southeast direction or east-southeast direction. So with that being said, is that they're going to follow the same contouring, but we will not, we will be avoiding directing any direct sump pumps or downspouts directly at the neighboring property. We would try to bring it either to the front or the rear of the home. So if a swale is necessary, then we will be requesting such.
Okay, because I think a swale pretty much running along at least the east side of the property line where you're going to direct any sheeting of any water, at least to the backyards.
Yes.
And where it heads down to Oak Avenue.
Confirmed, yes.
Okay. Any further questions from any commissioners? All right, we have a request for a variance. May we have a reading of findings of fact, please?
This is PZ 16-006, Elliott Carpentry LLC regarding 350 East Richmond Street. Request for a variance to allow relief from the minimum lot area for a single-family residence in the R3 Single-Family Detached Residence District. Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. Findings of fact, the property was subdivided in 1973 as a conforming lot, and subsequently zoning code amendments by the village to the minimum lot size requirement made this lot a non-conforming in the R3 district. Without this variance, this lot is unbuildable and the owner could yield,
Or cannot.
cannot yield any return. Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. Findings of fact, the owner did not subdivide this lot and create this nonconformity. Other lots in the area contain similar lot areas. Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. Findings of fact, surrounding properties contain similar lot areas as this property. This proposed house otherwise will conform to all setback and lot coverage requirements. Granting this variance will allow for development consistent with the surrounding properties and which will not adversely impact surrounding properties.
If you agree with these findings of fact, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement, therefore the findings of fact for a variance are approved and adopted. Under Planning and Zoning, item 16006, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, a zoning code variance request for relief from the minimum lot area for a dwelling in the R3 single-family detached residence district.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bartel, seconded by Commissioner Sharp. Question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard?
Yes. All right, so you have our recommendation for approval again, and you will be notified when to appear before the Board of Trustees for a final vote. Okay, thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda, Planning and Zoning, item 16007. Angela Juan, regarding the property located at 55933 South Cass for the following. Zoning code variance request to permit a home occupation sign in the R3 single-family detached residence district. Item B, a zoning code variance request for relief from the maximum allowable sign size in the R3 single-family detached residence district. Ms. Juan?
My name is Christopher Yuan. I'm the son of Dr. Leon and Angela Yuan. We live at 5933 South Cass Avenue, which is the residence, the lot that we're talking about. My father has practiced dentistry here in the village for over 36 years. In 1992, my parents built the current dental home and office at 5933 South Cass Avenue, which is actually at the corner of 60th and Cass. I can show that right here if you like. So this is Cass, this is 60th Chapel Hill right here, 5933, just right at the corner there. So in 1992, when the building plans and blueprints were submitted to the village, they were fully approved, and with the dental office also in the plans and the blueprints, and it was approved and reviewed. It met all the building codes and requirements for the past 24 years. The business has been there and run smoothly without any complaints from neighbors. After my father, 75, 76, and in April of last year, April 1st, my parents were thinking about possibly looking to rezone to business, and then we found out since it was spot zoning, we actually, Jill, and I can't remember the name of the committee, but actually suggested that we could apply for this variance to have at least signage. And so that is what we're doing now. So this is at the corner of 60th and Cass. At this corner, you're probably aware, I know the village has done a bunch of work there at the corner, cutting down some trees. That corner, 60th and Cass, a lot of accidents. I think, fortunately, with the change in with the trees, that has really helped. No sign there could make things more difficult for people trying to find. They're slowing down, they're looking, turning, because there's absolutely no sign. I'll show you a picture of our home / office. This is the front of the building, winter time, and so if you see, there's no sign there. So oftentimes people just have difficulty just knowing that it's a dental office, so that can make that corner a little bit more difficult when people are looking and maybe not paying as much attention. So hopefully, that will help not only, with what we're talking about with residential business, but also help with the traffic flow. Because this is a variance, we wanted to present a plan that involved the least construction, the least change of current physical structures, and the least change in landscaping. So therefore, the proposed change for signage will not involve any construction at all, will not involve any change in landscaping, will not change in any physical structures. Actually, it will exist in just using the low wall. I'll show you the picture again. So this is the picture that was just taken a couple months ago. This is the existing wall. It's about 4 feet high, and all we're proposing is just to put letters on there, simply saying dental office or dental care, something like that. Very, very simple. Still meeting the requirements of the letters being under, I believe it's 9 inches, and it will just be. There's no neon. It won't be radiating. Just simply saying, maybe white color on brick, simply saying dental office, dental care. So no change in structures, no construction, no change in landscaping. So again, the wall is 4 feet high. It's about 26 feet long because it kind of wraps around. Of course, we're not going to use all that, just basically 9 inches, and then however much that will fit on there. So regarding the findings of fact, the property in question, it hasn't been able to yield reasonable return. So My parents built this very contemporary, high-end building on Cass Avenue for the purpose of providing dental care and also being a residence. It's really state-of-the-art. I mean, I would like to invite all of you guys to come sometime. It's beautiful inside. It was actually featured on the cover of a dental magazine about 10 years ago, a national dental magazine, with over 100,000 in
Circulation.
Thank you, circulation. So in the back, there's a koi pond, and inside there's a koi pond. So it's really state-of-the-art. We did submit the blueprint. It met all the codes in 1991. Actually, before that, my father practiced at 31 East Chicago Avenue, just a block and a half east of Cass on Chicago. It was a residence, but it was, I think, zone business. So on the side of the building, my father had this sign, which I think was 7 feet high by 15 feet wide. So clearly, my father was able to establish his practice then with clear signage, and that was very beneficial. Then moving from 31 East Chicago Avenue to 5933 South Cass Avenue, there wasn't that signage, but my father had a very established practice moving there. Since that time, a lot of those patients have passed away, they've moved on, and the practice has definitely dwindled down in size dramatically. I don't know if you're familiar with this today, but the dental field has changed a lot in the past 10 years. I would say 20 years ago, most practices were private practices. You would have one dentist, he would own a practice and practice. Now you don't really find that anymore. It's all corporate. So large corporations, there would be practices with 10 dentists. So it's difficult to compete in that. So without that sign, it's very difficult to compete and survive. In addition, we're not able to market this as possibly a dentist being able to come in to move in to the home and office to practice because there's no sign. I mean, how do they know that this is even a dental office? So. Let's see. Actually, most of the people even in the area don't even know it's a dental office. I mean, we have neighbors come by. They're like, we always wondered what this building is. It's a very unique building, but no one has really known what it is. Apply to the owner is due to unique circumstances. The property is very unique. It's one of the few residences on one of Westmont's busiest streets, Cass Avenue. It's only 2 blocks north of 63rd Street. Between the property and 63rd, there's a lot of shops, gas stations. There's a gas station strip mall. There are signs on both sides of Cass Avenue. I can show you the picture. Let's see. It's a lot again. If you see. Let's see. So, sorry, 5933, we're right here. If you see right across the street is the apartment complexes. Kitty Corner is a strip mall. Marker School is here. Fire station is just basically one street down. So it wouldn't be too out of the ordinary to have a non-discrete sign. Actually, the fire station, they put in a neon sign just recently, as we all know. And of course, ours will not be neon.
It's an LED sign, not a neon.
I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't know the difference. So now I know. But ours will not be LED. I just wanted to clarify that. The variation of granite will not alter the essential character of the locality. The proposed sign is minimalistic, and it will be very professionally done. There will be no neon, no illumination, or LED. And it'll consist only of just 10 white letters of 9 inches high. And it'll be on the existing wall.
Okay, very good. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As he had indicated, there are 2 variances that are being requested in this. First is as a home occupation, which, as he indicated, this home was built with the home occupation in mind. It abided by all the rules of home occupation, so no variances were needed when this was built. But the home occupation code does state that you cannot have a sign advertising your home occupation. The second variance would be in that in a residential neighborhood, you're allowed to have a sign at 1 square foot. So this is larger than 1 square foot, so they're asking for relief from the size of the sign. This sign actually measures 4.8 square feet. It is proposed on an existing wall that I think is a screen wall to the front door. It is kind of perpendicular to, or I'm sorry, parallel to Cass Avenue, so it is actually, in terms of signage, not obtrusive. And it's not being illuminated, and it is, as he indicated, on a very well-traveled section of Cass that has a lot of signage on it.
Thank you. Will anybody from the public speak either for or against this item? Please, sir, if you would. Announce your name and sign in, please.
My name is Mashkoor Chaudhary. Well, this is the first time that I am hearing that there is some business behind my backyard. So that's something to know. I know my neighbor that he works for Loyola, where I work for, the dentist. He's very nice and to me all the time. But we live in a neighborhood where I never anticipated that there will be some business going to be coming to that neighborhood. And my concern, there are two concerns that I have, is by bringing that sign up, does that mean that the property value of my home will go down? Second, will that bring more traffic in that area? And the third, sorry to add a couple of more. Third is,
I forgot.
Take your time, relax.
Yeah. So, never. So the third one is, does that mean that other dentists will be coming to that office? Will that be an office? Will this property be changed into a future commercial area by bringing that sign? So those are the three major concerns that I have.
Could you address that?
Sure, I'll try to address some of those questions. So the village allows home occupations, which means if you're in a residential district like this house is, which is zoned R3, which allows for single-family houses, you can operate a small business out of your house, provided you meet certain requirements. This home occupation business meets those requirements, so it's allowed. And there are home occupation businesses throughout the village in single-family homes. So nothing is new in that regard. I think your question about will a sign bring more dentists into this home occupation or bring more traffic, I don't know about the traffic. I think that would be up to the applicant to answer, but I know their intent for the sign is to actually at least let their customers know that, or their clients know that they're at this location. It may result in more traffic, I don't know. But as far as bringing more dentists in, no, I think the people that work in the home are restricted to the people who own the home and live in the home. So outside dentists could not come in and be employed at that location. They have to live there.
That's what I was going to echo too, is that the home occupation regulates that only family members are allowed to have that occupation. So it cannot increase. And the applicant, as the applicant discussed earlier, they asked if they could rezone to a business use, and our Economic Development Committee recommended against that because they want to keep it a single-family residential neighborhood.
And will this rezoning mean?
It is not a rezoning.
It's not rezoning.
This is simply a variance to request a new sign in a residential district, but the residential district will remain the same.
Thank you, sir. Will anybody else speak on this issue? Seeing no hands raised, we'll go to close the public comment. Commissioner Bartel, if you would, please.
Well, I think that the issue brought up being a safety issue is the most important, with a lot of accidents, as you said, at that intersection and a lot of busyness. So I'm very supportive because it really requires very minimal change, and that is simply to put a sign out so people can find you easier. So I would be very supportive.
Commissioner Sharp?
I'm definitely supportive. I think the traffic issue is a good one that could be resolved and maybe increase some visibility to your business. I want to say, you know, I think the home is a really quite unique home. It's a great mix of residential motifs and yet still some commercial hints at it. And I think the sign is entirely appropriate, even back to the original request for home occupation. And it's clear this whole site was designed around that with the intent, so I'm fully supportive. And great presentation too, by the way.
Commissioner Thomas?
I've always liked the house, the building, as I passed it, and to understand your problem, I always wondered, what was there? Was that a house? It looks like a very cool house, you know? And I can understand the traffic problem because they know they're close to the dentist, but where is it? And they start slowing down. They're on a busy street. Somebody's going to come up behind them, and there's rear-ending and traffic problems and that. And I've been in this village for a long time, and I've always enjoyed the house. And that wall is custom made for that sign. It's like, it's perfect for that sign. You're right next to Cass Avenue, which screams signage. And had it been one block east in the neighborhood, the sign would be totally inappropriate. Cass Avenue, it's fine. It's pointed away from the neighborhood. The neighbors didn't even know there was a dentist there. So, you know, great. Yeah, I support it 100%, and good luck.
Commissioner Pill?
Yes, I also support it, and I think to summarize this a little bit is that you've got a business that's unique, and it's been there since '92. Most people didn't even know it was a business, so I don't see that changing. I don't see any influx into the neighborhood, and this is not something, this is almost the perfect location for a variance like this, and I think it can truly help create a safer environment, help their business. If this weren't on Cass, as Commissioner Thomas said, so if there's other people in the home audience watching this, I think that a lot of the commissioners would be very hesitant to approve a variance like this in other parts of our community. But with the wall right there, a non-light up, non-LED, non-neon type of sign, I think this is something that would work out perfect. Is not necessarily suitable to other parts of the town, but here it fits perfectly. Thank you.
Commissioner Van Buren?
I always knew it was dentist because I was here when Dr. Wan came into in '91, and if you were coming in '81, I would have been here too. But anyway, you've been a really good neighbor, and it's always been a question in my mind too, as to how do people know to come to the dentist? I know you're a dentist, but apparently you had a very good following, and so I would welcome your putting up the sign.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yeah, I live 2 blocks from you on 59th Street, and I've always enjoyed the house and wondered about its nature. This is the first I knew it was a dental office. And, in fact, I go across the street, a block south of you, to Dr. Ryan's. And yeah, given the unique nature of the house and its location, I support the sign.
And I am in agreement with my fellow commissioners. I wholeheartedly approve. I have a question for Jill.
Yes.
How about us allowing them, or are they able to put their address on that also? Perhaps above the dental?
Like the 6-inch address numerals?
I'm sorry?
Like the 6-inch address numbers? We can include that.
That wouldn't be signage, though.
That would not be signage.
Yeah, it would be more identification.
But I think it would further help people to identify where they are on the street. I think that would be a good idea.
It's good for emergency response, too.
Okay, very fine. Again, we have a reading of findings of fact that will cover both variances. So if we may have a reading of the findings of fact, please.
This is PZ 16-007, Angela Yuan regarding 5933 South Gas Avenue. Request for variances to allow a home occupation sign and to grant relief from the maximum allowable sign size for property located in the R3 Single Family Detached Residence District. Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. Findings of fact, the applicant has used the property as a home occupation dentist office since 1992 without any signage. In order to notify customers of this location along busy Cass Avenue, the applicant is requesting to install one sign. Without a sign which notifies the public about the location of this dental office, the applicant cannot market its home occupation and yield a reasonable return on the property. Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. Findings of fact, this property is unique in that it is a single-family home located on heavily trafficked Cass Avenue, a busy commercial corridor. Signage for this home occupation would be consistent with the character of the area and existing commercial signage in the area. Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. Findings of fact, the proposed sign will be affixed to an existing separation wall and will not be illuminated. The property is located on Cass Avenue and surrounding commercial properties have significant signage. The proposed sign will not adversely impact the character of this area.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. Therefore, the findings of fact for variance are hereby adopted and approved. Under Planning and Zoning, item 16007, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees. Item A, the zoning code variance request to permit a home occupation sign in the R3 Single Family Detached Residence District.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Van Buren, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Question on the motion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard.
Yes. Under, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees. Item B, a zoning code variance request for relief from the maximum allowable signage in the, from the maximum allowable sign size in the R3 Single Family Detached Residence District.
So moved.
Second.
They spoke over you, Jan. I'm sorry.
No, let him.
Motion by Commissioner Pill, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard.
Yes. All right, Doctor, you have our recommendation for approval, but we are only a recommending board. Staff can tell you when you'll go before the Committee of the Whole Village Board for voting. Good luck to you, sir. Next item on the agenda, Planning and Zoning, item 16008. Ann Hogan regarding the property located at 143 South Cass Avenue for the following: site and landscaping plan approval to allow for construction of a building addition in the B1 Limited Business District. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. What we're just asking for, we're not asking for a variance. What we are doing, we have a tenant that has outgrown his space. And in the back, we have a deck that is 500 square feet. So what we would like to do is eliminate the deck and just add on a small addition. I'm trying to get it in there so it'll give you some idea. We're eliminating a deck that's 20 by 22 by 20. Taking the deck down, adding this, it's not taking anything away from the parking, is that we're trying to keep the tenant in Westmont. He's a great tax revenue to the village, and I always call it secondary income on the tax side because I see him at Burr Ridge Lighting, you know, I see him at China Furniture because he's an interior designer. So it all comes he's spending money in the village. He's producing tax dollars to the village. He's a great tenant. Jill could probably contest to that, he's a very nice man, runs a great business, and we just don't want to lose him. So my father-in-law, Bob Sonoy, he has decided that he would invest to keep this tenant for another 10 years in the village. And that's why we're trying to get this going for the tenant.
Sounds good. Let's hear from staff, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for a site and landscaping approval. Because the property is in the B1 business district, it does require any exterior modifications to get this approval from us. As Mr. Hogan had stated, it's replacing an existing deck that's out there and not utilized for the business. It is treated as existing impervious, so it doesn't require any determination for stormwater. As he indicated, the parking lot's not being changed. The increase in size does create a larger parking demand, but that parking demand is only 3 spaces. 8 spaces are currently existing on the site there. It was in 2014, I think, when the tenant got approval to move in there. It has been very successful. I think that the owner and the tenant have done some wonderful things with the existing landscaping. Through this site and landscaping approval, we are actually getting it documented so that we can have it for perpetuity.
Thank you. Will anybody in the audience speak on this issue, either for or against? Seeing nobody raising their hands, we're going to close the public comment, and we'll start with Commissioner Carmichael.
That entire parking lot back there is all yours, sir?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, looks like a great idea to me. I support it.
Commissioner Van Buren.
Yeah, it's a good idea. My thought is, it looks like you had handicap access. You probably lose that. It's probably not required, is that it?
No, it's actually, that is not ADA approved, that ramp.
Oh, okay.
That originally, going back, God, I think it's 18 years ago, that was Montessori
okay.
daycare. And they didn't want steps for the children, so they had the little guys running up the ramp. The slope is way off. It could never, if all of a sudden we came in with that plan, it would not be ADA.
Okay.
And everybody has said is that now it's just a walk right in.
And Commissioner Van Buren, the building commissioner has looked at the plans, and he did determine that it would not require the ADA, because you can access on the back door at ground level, still serve in the 500 square foot addition, and because of the nature of the interior design business, you can come down to whoever is accessing that area.
Okay, good luck.
Commissioner Pill.
I like the idea. Been by there, and very nice representation for business in Westmont, supported 100%. Thank you.
Commissioner Thomas.
I support it also. It's a perfect landlord-tenant relationship. Everybody willing to go that extra step to keep the good relationship, keep the business in Westmont. Like you said, profits, other businesses profit. I'm for it 100%.
Commissioner Sharp.
Yeah, I'm also for it. It's good to hear about local businesses being so successful, and I think it's a great addition. I want to touch back on the accessibility for just a moment. It looks like there's still at least one step into the new addition. So I think it'd be easy enough because, whether the ramp was ADA or not, I think it's definitely a step downward away from accessibility to remove it and not allow someone in a wheelchair to get in the building at all with this step. So I think, you have a stoop. I think it's easy enough just to add a ramp.
Well, just to clarify, is that's one of our, concerns when we first started with this, is that according to the architect, it's not a step, because you're only going up.
I'm just saying, try to be in a wheelchair and get up.
I understand what you're saying, but we're at the point where it's not, it's not required. It's not a factor for the ADA. you know, in a wheelchair, it's, getting into the facility should not be a problem whatsoever.
I don't buy that, but, okay. I mean, how do you get it in
I
a
don't
wheelchair?
write the rules, under ADA.
I'm just saying, how can you get in the building in a wheelchair if there's a step?
90% of these buildings, the businesses, you have to understand, are been built before ADA.
Oh, completely, yeah.
So, we're not rebuilding, the whole structure. So,
I think he's saying that there's only one step, and it's easy to convert one step to a very small ramp, which eliminates any kind. Nobody's disagreeing with the fact
right, I mean,
that
if
you
you
don't
want,
have to do it.
I mean,
You don't have to do
I
it, I'm just saying
originally,
a
I originally
suggestion.
said, well, make it where it's more, and then all of a sudden, everybody's telling me that's a trip factor. So that's something that would make everybody happy. That's not a big issue.
Well, I'm only suggesting. I'll only
Yeah.
suggest.
All right.
Commissioner
Other than
Bart-
that, though, I approve.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Bartel.
I'm also very supportive and always glad to see businesses able to expand. I think that's terrific.
I like the idea myself. The only question I have is for staff. I thought a patio was, or a deck was 50% for drainage, lot coverage, whatever, and presuming that so much water would drain underneath it. Now we're gonna fix it with an impervious surface. Do we have to do any stormwater for this increased impervious surface?
I will state that the deck, sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
The deck does have compacted gravel underneath it currently, so it's not really 50% impervious due to the nature of the business being there so long and so many businesses existing there. And then I'll defer to Noriel.
I will concur. Visited the site. Underneath the deck is compacted gravel, so it's not an increase in impervious area. Okay? Not a significant increase in impervious area.
Not enough to warrant that we have to do some stormwater management for the new addition.
Correct.
All right. Just wanted to hear the experts say that. Any further comments, commissioners? Nothing? Okay, under planning and zoning item 16008, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, item A, site and landscaping plan approval to allow for construction of a building addition in the B1 Limited Business District.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Carmichael, seconded by Commissioner Van Buren. Question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes, and Chairman Richard.
Yes. All right, sir, you have our recommendation for approval, and staff can tell you when you go, but it's only a recommendation. And staff can tell you when the village board will vote on this item for you. Good luck to you. Next item on the agenda, planning and zoning item 16009, Tesla Motors regarding the property located at 50 West Ogden Avenue, Westmont, for the following. A special use permit request to operate an automobile dealership in the B2 General Business District. Good evening.
So, my name is Christy Ortons. I am a design manager with Tesla Motors. I'm here today to ask for a special use permit to allow us to have an automobile dealership in a B2 district in a building that was currently being used as an auto dealership. Just to give you a little bit of history, I don't know how much you may or may not know about Tesla Motors. Tesla designs, manufactures, sells, and services all electric vehicles. So it's a little different than a traditional dealership because we actually own the facility, or we're the ones who hire the employees. It's our vehicles, so it's all underneath Tesla Motors. And one of the things that is very different about Tesla is our mission. One of the missions that, that we have as a company is that we are here to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable transportation. And we're very excited about coming to, or having the opportunity of coming to the village of Westmont because I don't know how much you may or may not have seen Teslas driving around, but within 12 miles of this location, we have over 500 Model S's and we have over 100 Model X's, which is a lot for, the area, which to us, as a company means that there is a green movement, a sustainable movement in the area, which is very exciting to us because it helps with our mission. And so as a company, we think that this property would be a good location for us. And I'm here today to answer any questions that you may have about our use, because we are a little bit different than a traditional dealership in that, it's all electric. There's usually a lot of questions about that. The facility itself that we're looking at, we would be using for sales, we would be using it for service, and we'd also be using it for delivery. And the delivery portion of it may be a little bit different than what you may be used to, only in that all of our vehicles are custom ordered. So if you come to our location, you go on, you get educated about the technology, and you get to play around with all the colors and the fabrics, and then you get to place the order for the car. After a certain amount of time, after it's manufactured in California, it gets shipped over to the specific location, and then it gets delivered to the customer at that point. And so that's why it's a little bit different, our use. It's not a parking lot full of cars that you can go and buy at that point in time, because they're all custom made. With that being said, though, we do have some vehicles that are out there that if somebody did, make, and we do have some vehicles that are available for purchase, but it's definitely not something that we push because the way that we function is more of a custom order. So if you have any questions, please let me know about our use and our just Tesla in general.
Okay, very fine. Like staff comment, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As stated, this is to consider a special use permit for an automobile dealership in the B2 General Business District. The building was built several years ago. I think it used to house the Lincoln dealership. It's been vacant for some time. Back in 2014, if you remember, this project was approved to include a vacation of a portion of Grant Street, moving of the cul-de-sac farther north, a utilizing of several lots to the north which had been zoned for townhomes, which never solidified, so that the dealership could attain more parking spaces behind the property. That is still moving forward. I think actually that's it's still going through its final engineering phase, so it will go before the board. The special use that we're considering tonight is just to move a dealership into the facility. We have provided a landscape plan. The landscape plan from 2014 is still in effect. We have worked with the applicant a little bit more to tweak it, just to improve some of the screening of storage of cars, which is one of the requirements for the special use. They are proposing a 7-foot screen fence around that property, which was not initially indicated, and then we are kind of adjusting the landscape a little bit to adjust for that. It's all in the same nature of the original 2014 approval.
Joe, to clarify one point, the site plan for this property was already approved, correct?
Correct.
So they're not here for site plan because nothing's changed
Correct.
from what was initially approved over a year ago. And then, in case we have members of the public here, do we have a site plan that shows where the fencing is and where the parking is in relation to the dealership building, just so they can, if there are residents, they can see what sort of screening is provided and landscaping? And also, if you could address whether there's any access onto that cul-de-sac directly from this property?
So Ogden Avenue is over here. The existing building is here. The existing building is not being modified, other than I think there is some stone on the front that had been taken down because it was falling. It will be replaced. The new lot is back in this area here. The screening is around it. The new detention pond is pushed back here. There is no access to Grant Street. This is in line with the original site plan approval of 2014. There is a screen fence that runs along the outside of the property here. There was always a screen fence on this side because there is some residential over here.
Thanks.
Joe, can you point out the additional landscaping along Ogden Avenue too with the new street trees?
Yes, they have improved. The original site plan did not include street trees. Over the last couple of years, there's been a big movement internally that Ogden Avenue does not have enough street trees. Actually, there's virtually no street trees. So they have accommodated our request to plant trees.
And I would point out to the applicant that in the special use ordinance itself, when it gets presented to the village board, there are standard special conditions that the village requires for auto dealerships, for all auto dealerships, which would include things which I know Tesla is not known for, but nevertheless, they'll be in the ordinance. No promotional balloons, blow-up Godzillas, no elevated car racks to display cars, no loudspeakers on the property. We don't like cars with the year labels or kind of loud, bright labels or streamers, balloons of any sort. No test driving of cars on residential side streets. No loading and unloading of cars on the public streets. So any delivery of vehicles would have to occur on your property, not in the cul-de-sac or anywhere else on the public streets. And I guess the only other question would be lighting. I don't know if the lighting plan's been submitted.
Yes, it has been submitted, and it meets our standard of 0-foot candles at the property line with recessed flat lensed bulbs.
Okay, before we go to the public comment, as you've been told, the site plan for parking and everything else has already been approved last year. And that's when we recommended approval of moving the cul-de-sac to the north and vacating. In fact, let me go up here shortly. This cul-de-sac right here used to end down here. We had the other car dealership come in for use, and everybody was complaining and they wanted more parking. We thought it would be a very good idea to move this cul-de-sac here. And therefore, we had houses here that are not in the village, but we would give them a streetscape, and then we recommended all of this landscaping in here to shield the multifamily dwelling here, the private residences here, and all of the residences along here. Which, not to bet ourselves on the back, but I thought the board did a pretty darn good idea on this. Anyhow, that's already been approved. All we're voting on tonight is whether or not a car dealer can occupy that building, that lot. That's all we're talking tonight. So with that, I will open up the public comment. Please, anybody that has anything to say, either for or against this, please, sir, if you would, announce your name and sign in.
Hi, my name is Tim McGowan. And I know you just said, you know, what we're voting on here, and this may or may not apply. One, I live at 125 West 41st Street, which is right here.
Sir, may I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
If you use the table, the microphone will not catch everything that you say over on the
I
screen.
live at 125 West 41st Street, which is this unit here. There's 3 townhomes. I'll be the first to say that I really like this plan. And again, please tell me if this is a different conversation. The one thing I would request is currently there is no north-south stop sign on Grant Street. And there's an east-west going this way. And honestly, if you're really not paying attention, at least right now, given that this circle is down here, it's a pretty dangerous intersection.
I think it's the county.
So I guess one request in this whole plan, and I know some of my other neighbors are here, if we could get a stop sign going north-south to make it a four-way stop.
Is that in the village?
The
It's
attorney,
not in our village.
that's Northeast Acres, isn't it?
No, that's in the county.
Liberty Park,
Liberty
isn't
Park.
it? Liberty
And
Park.
that's county zoning, and the county would have to, you'd have to
Okay, I didn't know.
approach them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's out of the village of Westmont.
We'll put a stop sign up, but we might get arrested. Well, I can put a stop sign up too, I might get arrested. Okay, that's good to know, I didn't know that. And then the other thing, and I can address this with, this might be another county thing. Had the pleasure of talking to Dan, they're doing all this landscaping and work, that there's a utility box on my property. And there's also one, which I think is marked right here. There's also one literally not even 10 yards away within this area. And there's another one down here. That if all possible during this whole thing, I'd like to get rid of these utility boxes and have them connect into the one that is literally, right here. But again, I'm not sure if this applies to this conversation, but.
Good evening. The unfortunate part about utility boxes is that we do not own those utility boxes. They either belong to ComEd, AT&T, Comcast, and so forth, and they are all allowed there by their right for the easement grants. So any kind of request that if it is deteriorated or trying to combine really should be directed toward the utility company. But again, it's
We just talked about that.
right. Any further questions?
I'm sure we'll have more. Any further comment, please? Anybody? If you would, sir.
Good evening. My name is Mike McGrath Jr., and I am the sitting chairman of the Chicago Auto Trade Association, which represents the over 400 new car dealers here in Chicagoland. And I am also a long-term business owner in the village of Westmont with McGrath Acura and McGrath Lexus. I'm here tonight to adamantly oppose Tesla Motors using this property as a car dealership. See, Tesla is not an ordinary car dealership, as you heard. Tesla is a factory direct car dealership, which in selling cars in Illinois is a direct violation of the Illinois Motor Vehicle Franchise Act. That Franchise Act is enacted to protect the small business owner as myself, but more importantly, protect the consumer against direct selling. Allowing Tesla to use this property will set a precedent for not only this market, but other markets around Chicagoland and how they sell vehicles, which again is in violation of the Illinois Motor Vehicle Franchise Act.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else will speak on this? Please.
Hi, my name is Joe Fitzner, and I think I've been to about 10 meetings on the same property over the years. I live at 4104 North Grand Street, so I'm one of the properties that are directly affected. I think my driveway is probably right in this area here. It's right at the new cul-de-sac. I was here for the previous meetings where it was approved. I did approve, you know, I was all for it, the previous site plan. And it sounds, talking to the architect, it sounds like they've made some actually better improvements to it now. The question I have, and I guess it doesn't have to do with the actual variance or whatever I'm trying to get, but is a cul-de-sac, now that's a Westmont street, I guess. I know you said it's Liberty Park, but I think the street is Westmont, because it's like the Westmont plow the street right now. It's kind of strange. But is there parking allowed in the cul-de-sac? Because right now, the Lincoln Mercury dealer, which I've had my battles with them for the years, there's 3 to 7 cars parked on the cul-de-sac every day right now. Now the cul-de-sac is farther down, obviously, and I think it's employees, it's just an easy walk for them. Now, the architect did say they're going to sod in this whole area, I guess, above, you know, above their parking lot, I guess, to the west side of the parking lot. Because right now, a lot of cars drive into the Lincoln Mercury dealership off of Grand Street. They'll come there and they just go right through the gravel. The lot next to me is empty. Mark Aosen bought it years ago and was going to make it a part of his expansion, but it obviously never went over. I don't know who owns that lot, but the cars go in and out, you know, quite regularly going to the Lincoln Mercury dealer. So I think with sodding this area, I think that would alleviate that problem. But I guess my question is, if Lincoln Mercury dealership, which is just west of the proposed Tesla dealership, if their employees wanted to park on that cul-de-sac, is that allowed?
It's a good question, and the village does typically allow parking on residential streets for various time periods, depending on what the street is. Sometimes it's one side of the street but not the other. But within the cul-de-sac itself, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the regulations, but we can probably look that up and get an answer to you. If you want to be in contact with unless, Jill, you know off the top of your head.
I don't know off the top of my head. That's definitely something I can check with the police on, but I know that they definitely won't be able to cut through there anymore, so.
They won't cut through there because of the sod area.
And street trees.
I thought at one point, does there have to be room for emergency vehicles to turn around in there? So would that restrict parking? I believe that got brought up one time.
Right. It may, and again, I'm sorry, I don't know the parking requirements. Certainly, the village does have the authority to control parking on any residential street, and if they feel like there is a parking problem, they can restrict parking.
Okay.
But if you contact Jill at Community Development Department and give your contact information, we can get back to you with the answer on that.
We've emailed back and forth. So.
Okay, great.
Okay, like I said, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Is there any further public comment? Please, if you would, sir.
Yes, Richard Thomas. I'm a resident over in Liberty Park, and I'm all for having another abandoned building being occupied. The only thing I'm concerned with is I noticed that Mr. Zanek mentioned that the special use permits do not allow offloading and loading of vehicles into the facilities. Over the last year and a half, the number of semis going down 41st southbound from Washington towards Cass has increased tremendously. They're all car carriers. The number of small five-wheel pickup transport vehicles are using the Arby's lot for transporting and loading and unloading vehicles. It is a residential. There are children under the age of 12 in that area. And those trucks, when they're moving faster than the speed limit. So just wanted to go on record that I'm for it, but we need to put some type of requirements in for semis using 41st and the north-south streets in that whole area. And that goes down all Ogden too. I know that McGrath unloads off of Ogden occasionally, so if you're gonna make comment about it, it's gotta be even for everybody. Thank you.
Will there be any further public comment? Anybody?
I just want to add on to his point. I'm also a resident of Liberty Park.
Your name, please, if you
Nicole
would.
Edmeyer. I live at 4111 North Adams Street, which will back up directly to this tree line up here. We are relatively new. We bought it in 2014. Shortly after buying, Ultimo Motorsports opened on Adams Street. And I have continuously videotaped them test driving their vehicles down my block. I have several videos of them blowing the stop signs, speeding. We have no sidewalks as we are unincorporated, so my children play in the front yard sometimes, and they have to be supervised at all times. However, we've had a case where a patron of the dealership was talking on a cell phone while test driving the vehicle, and he swerved, and my children had to be thrown out of the way by my husband. So I am concerned with the loading and unloading as well as the test driving in the area, because we've had continuous problems. And the last time I spoke with Tom Mulhern about the situation, he said that, you know, he had to refer us to DuPage County because we are unincorporated. However, the business itself is Westmont, so we're kind of in a place where DuPage County is not responding to any of the requests to ensure that they cannot turn into our residential area to take their test drives. And I just want to ensure that another dealership isn't going to infringe on the safety of our children in our neighborhood.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I can respond a little bit to
Please, if you
that
would.
concern. Chief Mulhern and I both went out to Ultimo to talk personally with the dealership and talk with the general manager to ensure that they do not continue to do that. So while he is directing you to Cook County within those streets, we have also specifically talked with the manager, and he sent them letters. We do that every year to all the dealerships to discourage the residential driving. So.
Thank you. Will there be any further public comment? Seeing none, we're going to close the public comment on it, if you would, and we'll start with Commissioner Bartel.
Well, I think it's a great idea to have another car dealership in there. It's an empty or abandoned building. However, the Illinois Motor Vehicle Franchise Act issue I was not aware of, and I think that needs to be further looked at before I would feel comfortable being supportive of this particular request.
Commissioner Sharp.
I'm excited to have another dealership in that space. I think the stone cladding was getting to look a little underwhelming, so it's going to be nice to have that rejuvenated. In terms of the legality of the business itself, I will leave that to other people to solve, but I think what's before us tonight is just the use and the site plan approval, which I am for. So.
Commissioner Thomas.
I don't understand quite the problem or the legality of custom making or custom ordering a vehicle and having it delivered. And that I remember way back when I was a child, my parents once, from time to time, you could order, I believe it was a Buick, and you could custom order, and it would be delivered to you. I don't understand why that's different today than it was. Apparently it is, because there's some legality there. But then again, just because you belong to a federation or whatever doesn't mean that everything's cool, because the people belonging to that federation are doing the test driving and
Well, I think that's not what he's saying. I think the comment was that auto dealers in Illinois have to be franchised or essentially licensed by the state and go through a pretty rigorous process to get approved by the state to operate as an auto
so
dealer.
the local representatives don't have that mandate, or?
No, they do. So every auto dealer has state approval as an auto dealership. I believe what his comment was is Tesla operates under a different business model than a traditional dealership, and thereby is avoiding getting state of Illinois auto dealer approval. I don't know that. I believe that's what he what he said. It's the first I've heard of it. We can try and flush that out a little.
Couple of things, if I may. I hate to interrupt you, Commissioner Thomas, but the legality of whether or not they're going to put an auto dealership is not our business.
I understand that.
We are just saying, we in the village of Westmont will vote either yes or no to put an auto dealership in there. The legality of it has to be settled in a court of law. But we have decided, Westmont, that yes, we want an automobile dealership in that building. That's all we're talking about tonight.
Okay, so when I went there to look at it, and Tesla owns the property now? No. So there's a, so the neighboring automobile.
If you would, please.
So the neighboring automobile, well, she's already said that they don't own it now.
Well, if she's going to respond, no, I want the audience to hear her.
So we will be leasing the property.
Okay, so when I went there to look at it, the parking lot was full of automobiles and that must be an agreement with the present owner and the neighboring franchise for parking or whatever.
Yes,
I thought you
that's
were already
correct.
there,
No, yeah, we're.
but you're not.
We're not yet, correct.
So they're gonna
for-
have to move theirs out before
Yes.
you move in.
Definitely.
Okay, very good.
Could you hang out there
Commissioner
for a
Bill?
second? Are you done?
Barely.
First, welcome to Westmont. It's exciting to have another dealer, and one as interesting as Tesla. I've spent a lot of time in Teslas. Just spent the last week in one and enjoyed driving around. A couple of questions I have for you. How many full-service dealers do you have in the United States now?
Oh, wow. I want to say that we're over 100. To the exact number, I can't say right now.
And what would the plan be for the Chicagoland metropolitan area? Is this the first?
No, we already have some locations in Chicago. We have, I don't know if you know some of our models, but a lot of what we do is actually go into retail spaces. And so we have one at Oak Brook.
So I don't consider that really a dealer. This is going to be a full-size dealer.
Yeah.
That looks like more of a storefront. So I'm asking how many more of these larger size as opposed, and my next question is going to be, would this supersede and would the Oak Brook Mall location close?
No, both would remain open, to answer the latter question. The first question that you asked about the dealership, we have one actually in downtown Chicago. And then we have one in Villa Park. And we have one at Highland Park, are the ones that we have.
And these are sized like this
Yes.
one that you, okay,
Yeah,
good.
the difference between the two is that this has service connected to sales and delivery
Right.
versus just being a retail location.
If all went according to your plan, what would be the expected opening date?
We are looking before the end of the year.
You have such a long wait list right now for cars.
Especially on the new one.
What would the inventory be like? Would you have inventory? Would there be anything on the showroom floor?
On the showroom floor, the cars that we have are for display only. So we would have, I think right now, we could fit 4 vehicles in the showroom.
Okay.
And then on the exterior, what you would see would be cars that are getting ready to be delivered. And then there could be the occasional loaner cars. And then also, there could be 1 or 2, like I said, if somebody for some reason doesn't take a delivery, now we have a vehicle in our hands that could be, but they don't have stickers on them, we don't advertise them. To get those vehicles, you actually have to go through the website.
Do you accept trade-ins? And if so, would there be cars of other makes and models on the property as used cars?
So we do take in trade-ins, but we definitely do not have other vehicles on our lot. We have a third-party company that comes in and buys those vehicles.
Or wholesaled out, in other words?
Exactly.
Are you licensed to sell those other vehicles?
Licensed to sell to, well,
If you accept a trade-in, are you licensed to resell those vehicles?
we could. If we
As an
went-
auto dealer?
Yes. If we go through the application to get a dealer's license, which we would at this location, we would go through all the state laws, and we would have a dealer's license, and we would be able to sell other vehicles. But as a company, we would never do that.
Okay. Just in Villa Park or Highland Park, do you have an Illinois
Yes, we do.
dealer license? Okay.
Can you tell, that's fine, thank you. You anticipated my next question, so it's as if you read my mind.
Again.
Sitting next to each other all these years. Can you tell me a little bit about sales tax? So I know that you cover a fairly wide range of territory with Tesla. So are these cars considered to be sold in Westmont?
They are.
So even though they're manufactured in California, shipped from there and wherever,
Correct.
but it's a Westmont transaction then?
It's transactioned at our delivery point. So if you ordered the car
At the mall?
if you ordered the car at the mall, you would be picking it up at Westmont. But the way that it works is that it really is where, I can't speak specifically to Chicago, and I'd have to go back and research it a little bit more, because it kind of depends on the state. But it's either at the point of sale or the point of delivery. Typically, it's at the point of delivery, because that's where the paperwork happens.
I have no other questions. I think it's exciting, and again, welcome to Westmont.
Thank you.
Commissioner Van Buren.
Well, I too am concerned about what the gentleman said about this not being a typical dealership and then not going through that. And we certainly value our current dealerships along Ogden Avenue. They've been good to us, and I hope we've been good to them. But I think too that this is something, if we are doing something illegal, we'll find that out soon enough.
And we wouldn't, as a company, we wouldn't be doing it illegally.
By the way, I got out of the airport in Amsterdam about a year ago, and I stepped out to the curb, and I expected to see Mercedes cabs. The whole line was Teslas. Is that an advertising?
No?
No?
Green.
That's all I have.
Well, I guess I'm still confused on this, on the legality of this direct marketing. I mean, it's either legal or it isn't, and you have other dealerships like this one in the state of Illinois that have been,
They have a state license.
that have a state
State
license. So
dealer.
how would they have a state license? Sir, how would that be different in Westmont than Villa Park?
It won't be. They're in violation of the license right now. We negotiated a settlement with Tesla 4 years ago where we would allow the 4 licenses to stay open even though they were in violation of state law because the economy was bad and we wanted to preserve the jobs and the people who have already purchased the cars. But what we have here is eroding the fabric of the law that supports not only our consumers in Illinois, but the small business person. Fundamentally, everybody in this room knows somebody who's owned a Pontiac, an Oldsmobile, a Saturn, a Hummer, and the list goes on and on. Without the franchise dealers, none of those owners could have gotten parts, their vehicle serviced, or their vehicle warranty work done after those manufacturers closed up. It's exactly why franchise dealers are in place, to buffer the public, which is the second biggest purchase they make in their life, next to their home, to protect their investment. This is contested all across the United States. The licenses were obtained before cars were being delivered and under a false pretense. Okay, we've renegotiated with Tesla to let them remain to have the 4 license, but not be able to expand their network of dealerships. This is an attempt to expand. This will also be taken up, in the Illinois court if it passed through here. Okay, but this is preserving the partnerships that you have with all of your franchise dealers in Westmont that provide the local jobs, support the local community, that do the fundraisers. Okay, this is a company out of California that is doing direct selling. Okay, it's completely different. It's not a used car lot. It's not a franchise dealership. They're trying to create a hybrid.
But
And it's
we're
against the
still
law.
getting the sales tax as we would from your cars.
I believe that's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, I would suggest to all the commissioners, whether or not this is legal or illegal, it is not our purview. We are here to say whether or not we are going to recommend to the Board of Trustees, we think a car dealership should be in there. And that's the only thing we should be on our mind tonight. And like I said, whether or not this is legal or illegal, that's not our business. So I do have a few questions myself. In your, miss, if you would, in your facility, you're going to have service. Are you going to be doing any body and paint repairs?
No body and paint repairs, no.
That'll be a no, okay? Now, as I understand, you will not have any other vehicles for sale, only Teslas,
That's correct.
okay? What about charging stations? How do you work now? Are you advocating putting any? You're going to have some on your building? Do you support installing charging stations? Is Tesla into that at all?
We are. We actually have an entire network of charging. Currently, the way that we work is we have a separate team. It's called the Supercharger team. And what they do is they go and they connect all of the dots to make sure that you can get from point A to point B across the nation. And so they're working on a network system. Specifically, if they will be coming, the Supercharger will be coming to this location, I can't speak to that. But we will be having charging outside high-powered wall connectors that we will be using to charge the car.
When you say supercharging, that's a fast charge where they can charge
It's a faster charge, yeah. I don't know if you've seen them, but they almost look like a gas station, ironically enough, but they're like they're taller, and you can get a charge on your car much quicker on one of those than you can on a high-powered wall connector.
If you were to put them in, do you usually put them in gas stations, which would see vehicle traffic?
We put them all over the place. We have actually put them in, ironically enough, in near a gas station. We've put them in malls. We've put them out in rural areas where it's, trafficked areas to going from one point. So we have them all over the place.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, can I interrupt just to expand on that? So if you have a supercharger station on this property,
So currently
I know currently you're not planning one, but one could go there.
yes.
That means members of the public that own a Tesla could pull in, use this property.
Members that own a Tesla, is that what you said? I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
And could charge their vehicle and then leave. So it would be a different use than just a pure auto dealer, and that people would be, just a little different traffic impact, I guess, that's all.
When these charging stations are used, are they credit card activated then, I
They're
presume?
free.
Oh, really? I'm gonna convert my car.
Free.
Okay, I'm in a bit of quandary. I didn't completely understand the sales tax question. I didn't know you had a storefront, if you will, in Oak Brook.
But we will also have a showroom here. The goal is to have a large showroom here so that we could be, we will be selling out of this location.
I understand that. Well, my question is this. How can we be sure that a car isn't sold in Oak Brook, delivered in Westmont, and we don't see the sales tax? That's my problem.
Okay.
I think we probably need that question answered before it gets to the village board.
Okay, can we work on that then?
I think it's up to the
Yeah, I can
applicant.
definitely work on getting you an answer. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't know exactly how it works in Chicago for us.
Well, let me
or in
put it
Illinois.
this way. I won't vote yes tonight as much as I want a dealership in here unless I get an ironclad guarantee that Westmont's going to get the sales tax revenue.
Westmont will be getting sales tax for sure, for the sales of all the vehicles that come from this location.
I understand that, but I don't care if somebody walks into Oak Brook and says, oh yeah, maybe I'll pick that up, but I can get it out of Westmont. I'll be darned if I want Oak Brook to get my sales tax money. Forget them people. No, I'm serious.
No,
I'm
I
very
understand,
serious.
I understand, but if the sales is happening in Oak Brook, again, I don't want to speak to this, and maybe this is something that we can, I don't know if I can answer that, but I know that the only thing that I can guarantee is that if a car is sold in Westmont, that you will be getting the sales tax from that car sold in Westmont. If it is sold in Oak Brook, I cannot answer that question today.
Because if it's sold in Oak Brook, they will still take delivery in Westmont.
That's correct. It could be Westmont, it could be Villa Park, it could be somewhere else.
Okay.
I mean, you could say the same thing about something in Naperville or Indiana, right? I mean.
But you also
theoretically, we
deliver to
can't
their
control.
homes, most cars right now, right?
We're actually getting away from that model. The larger that we expand, the more that we're trying to go to a more central space.
Makes sense.
Well, like I say, I don't like the idea of the dealership opening storefronts all over the place And literally, you could go into every shopping center, put a storefront with a car, and the sales tax would go to there, and the onus would be on Westmont to be servicing all these vehicles, using our streets, et cetera, and we're not seeing any revenue from this.
But I'm sorry, but I can't answer that, I guess, today.
I really don't like that business model, to be quite honest with you.
Is that what we're voting on tonight, though, the business model?
No, but I want it clear that the village board looks at this problem also.
They will.
Because the whole thing for our car dealerships is Westmont gets tax money. It's how we live.
Yes, we know that.
And that's my overriding concern. So if any board members are watching this, make sure that's settled, please. Okay, I've shot my wad. I'll probably get fired. Any further comments? Commissioners? Last comments from the public at all? I'll request, no? Okay. Under Planning and Zoning Item 16009, Tesla Motors, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, a special use permit request to operate an automobile dealership in the B2 General Business District.
First need findings of fact before we accept that motion.
Oh, that's a special use, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Folks, I jumped ahead of myself, I'm so excited here. May we have a reading of the findings of fact?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is PZ 16-009, Tesla Motors regarding 50 West Ogden Avenue. Request for a special use to allow an automobile dealership in the B2 General Business District. Criteria number 1, that the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. Findings of fact. The proposed automobile dealership is a common use within the Ogden Avenue commercial corridor and is not expected to endanger to the public health, safety, or general welfare. The use will contribute sales and retail and real estate taxes to the village and provide a requested high-end retail use. Criteria number 2, that the special use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. Findings of fact. The proposed use will be consistent with the surrounding commercial uses along Ogden Avenue and will be buffered from the residences to the north by landscaping and fencing. Criteria number 3, that the establishment of the special use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. Findings of fact. Surrounding properties are fully developed, and this development will not impede any future development of the surrounding area. Criteria number 4, that adequate utilities, access ways, drainage, and/or other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Findings of fact. The property is already serviced by adequate utilities, access ways, drainage, etc. Criteria number 5, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. Findings of fact. The property has sufficient means of ingress and egress onto Ogden Avenue and will have no direct access to the residential streets to the north. Criteria number 6, that the special use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located, except as such regulations may in each instance be modified by the village board pursuant to the recommendation of the Plan Commission. Findings of fact. No variances are requested for this use, and the proposed development otherwise meets all requirements of the B2 district. Criteria number 7. Proposed use meets the special conditions of Special Condition 7. Findings of fact. The rear parking area will be sufficiently screened with fencing and landscaping, thereby screening vehicles awaiting service or pickup.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement of the findings of fact for a special use. Okay, now, under Planning and Zoning Item 16009, Tesla Motors, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, a special use permit request to operate an automobile dealership in the B2 General Business District.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Bartel. Question on the motion? May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes?
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
No.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Wally Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard.
A conditional yes contingent on the sales tax issue, which I consider very important, being settled in favor of Westmont. Given that, our recommendation is hereby approved for a special use, so the Board of Trustees can tell you when you go before the Committee of the Whole for a final vote. But like I say, I really, really want to get this nailed down on the sales tax. I don't want to lose that money. Thank you very much. Planning and zoning item 16010, Cashman Shelter Group regarding improvements at J.T. Manning Elementary School located at 200 North Linden, Westmont. Item A zoning code variance request for relief from the maximum allowable floor area ratio in the R3 single-family detached residence district. Item B, a zoning code variance request for relief from the maximum allowable lot coverage in the R3 single-family detached residence district. Item C, site and landscaping approval to construct a building addition. Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go.
Good evening. My name is Natalie Critchley. I'm the project architect with Cashman Stoller Group. First, I'd like to give you an overview of the project and then get into the details of the variance. We are applying for a variance in FAR and coverage. Because J.T. Manning Elementary School at 200 North Linden is a school, we do not have a hardship necessarily for monetary, but security. So we are proposing the project of a one-story, 277 gross square foot entry addition on the Linden or east side of the property. Currently, visitors enter from the alleyway or the west side, and they are buzzed into a stairwell. So if, the staff, if they don't arrive at the current school office, then they could have gone upstairs or downstairs. So we are proposing a improved visibility of the school. We are relocating the entrance from the west alley side to Linden Avenue. This will improve visibility. We are also renovating the interior to relocate the main office, which is also currently on the west side of the building, to the east side, so they have direct visibility to Linden and the visitors. We will create a secure entry that will be manned by a staff member, a parapro. The visitors will get buzzed in to this entrance, and then they will have to go through the lobby guard system, which checks your driver's license against the database for sex offenders. And then the parapro or staff member will buzz them into the main building. They will get a badge, so staff will know that they have been checked in. There will also be an accessible ramp to this addition. So currently, people in wheelchairs have to enter in the ramp to the north of the building and then come through the library or the kindergarten. The addition will be brick and cast stone in the collegiate Gothic detail as the existing 1927 building. There will be new landscaping around the addition and no changes to grading because of the small size of the addition. The Kane DuPage Soil and Water Conservation District decided that we were exempt due to the size, so they did not review the project. This is an overall site plan of the project. You can see the very small addition right here. The setback will be about 28 feet from the lot line, which is about 4 feet difference from the north 1965 portion of the building. This is a landscape plan. As you can see, we are adding trees and shrubbery. And we are also tying into the roof will drain into a connection to the catch basin, which is right here. So there will be no effect for drainage. This is an overall view of the project, including the interior renovation. This is where the current office is, and we will be moving it down to the east side of the building. And we will be creating a nurse's office with an ADA accessible restroom. Currently, they don't have a restroom in the nurse's office, and a workroom, which is badly needed at the school, in addition to the security measures. This is the elevation. As you can see, we are replicating what is already there as far as the collegiate Gothic design. The addition will be about 17 feet above grade. Overall, this is a 3D view. View from the other side. Okay, and this is the variance we are applying for. Currently, we are existing non-conforming. The existing FAR is 0.61. So over the requirement of 0.5, and the proposed change of 0.00256. The essential character of the neighborhood will not change. The security of the school and the neighborhood will be improved because there will be eyes on Linden essentially during the day. And the lot coverage, again, is negligible. A change of 58,453, 58,901 from 48,453. So it's a change of 448 additional square feet. Questions?
I would go to staff if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the applicant stated, there are two variances that are being requested. One is to the maximum floor area ratio, which for the district permitted is 0.5. The variance requested is at 0.62. That is an increase from 0.5 of 24%, but as you stated, they are already over the 0.5. So it's actually a 2% based on what they exist as now. The other variance is for maximum lot coverage. This is a non-commercial or a non-residential building in a residential area, so we still have the same standard of a 35% lot coverage. We don't have any allowance for non-residential buildings. The requested variance is 55%, and it's 55.8%, or it's 8.8% more than what they already have. So we wanted to look at both numbers separately. And then the village has also requested site and landscaping approval. In this case, that's why the site plan and landscaping has been added for due to staff request.
Thank you. Anybody from the public who will speak on this? I was hoping you'd say something. We made you wait this long.
I signed back there. Do I need to sign up here?
No.
Okay. My name's Marie Charlton. I am a resident of Westmont, have been for 25 years. I'm also pleased to be the school board president of District 201 for the last 7 years. And we have been working very, very, very hard to make sure that our schools are as safe as we can make them. We have been doing everything we can in our power to make sure that we're not one of those towns that end up in the news. And we have been tirelessly working to try to find the way to make sure that the entrances to all our buildings are the safest for our students. I'm not sure if any of you have been in Manning, but right now the entrance is off the alley, and there is a device that you have to be buzzed in and such, but human nature being what it is, if someone is walking right behind you, you'll hold the door open for that person. And we have a big community at Manning, a lot of kids at Manning, so that perhaps, I don't want to think that that happens a lot, but it does. So what we're trying to do in all of our schools is make sure that all of our entrances are now completely safe. Everybody has to be buzzed in, and they have to go to an office, and that's the issue where we have here. We have been working with Steve Cashman's firm for quite a while and trying to figure out what are the best ways to make sure that we can get our schools to accommodate this. And because the building is very old, the current entrance where everybody enters is off the alley, and there just is not a viable place to make this entranceway that we wanted to do. So this was the plan that we came up with. And I, for one, am very happy that it keeps the same look of the building, taking in the same architecture of the building that it's had for all these years. And for me, more importantly, it covers all of the strong desires we have to have a secure entrance for a building of this size. So I am in favor of this as a resident and as the board president, and I just wanted to state that.
Thank you very much. Will anybody else speak on this issue? Seeing no hands raised, let's close the public comment, and we'll start with Commissioner Carmichael.
It looks like an excellent plan. I support it. I'm curious about that driver's license check that you mentioned as security. What if someone comes that doesn't have a license or from out of state, a grandparent or something? There has to be some way of...
I also signed in back at the table. I'm Kevin Karen, Superintendent of Schools for 201. And so the way the system works, when you have a state ID or a state driver's license, it's ran through the database. For those visitors who do not have the ID, either they have to remain in the office or they have to be escorted through the building. So they're not allowed to enter the building without going through that screening.
Thank you. Just curious.
Commissioner Van Buren?
This is a very good, clear presentation. We know, understand exactly what you're doing, and of course, I'm all for it.
Commissioner Pill?
Yes, I hats off on the presentation. It's excellent. I like having the handouts. It was up on the screen. People at home can see exactly what's going on. I also like the collaborative nature of the discussion. Certainly don't want to get into a bleacher situation like at other school districts. So I'm hoping that we'll continue to see the school district working with the village as well as planning and zoning, because I think it's more of a requirement than perhaps even your letter indicates, which leaves the door open for other actions and things if there was a negative vote. But I certainly think that this is a great step. I think our kids are protected, and I think it's certainly in keeping with the neighborhood, and these percentages are minuscule when you look at it. I can't imagine an urban school that meets a 50% requirement. I mean, sure, if you're building something new out in Naperville where you've got 500 acres of farmland, it's pretty easy to get a lot of property. But urban schools, this is where it's at, and I think you've done a great job with it.
Commissioner Thomas?
I agree.
well done, well thought out, the world being what it is. The additional ownage to you to take care of our children. That's your job. You did it. Appreciate it. Good job. Thank you.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yeah, I'm also completely in favor. I think it's going to be a great boon to the security of the school, and I do appreciate the addition. It looks completely holistic with the rest of the building, and in terms of site plan, site and landscaping approval, I think it looks great. My only comment about the ramp is that it seems awfully close to the public sidewalk, like inside of that setback. That's for the main building, maybe. But maybe just adding some bushes to the front of the ramp might soften that visually from the students entering and just make it more pleasing of a ramp. Completely in favor.
Commissioner Bartel?
I also agree, great presentation. A lot of work has gone into this, and kudos to those who have spent so much time in preparation. And also the safety of the children is of paramount importance, so I appreciate all the work that's done. Very supportive.
And last of all, me, I also have to echo the sentiments of my fellow commissioners. Extremely well done. I'm very happy to vote yes. I do have one question, though. The doors in the alley, they're metal doors with, I think, the small wire windows or something? Or are they a clear glass window?
They're currently an insulated clear glass window, but we'll be putting impact-resistant film on those to restrict anyone from trying to break the glass or shoot the glass out.
And then opening the door?
Correct. Those will be basically now just staff entrances, because the staff park in that area. Visitors will come on and the staff will continue to come in, and they basically use fobs to access the building.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, may we have a reading of the findings of fact for the variance, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is PZ 16010, J.T. Manning Elementary School, 200 North Linden Avenue. Request for variances to allow relief from the maximum allowable floor area ratio and relief from the maximum allowable lot coverage in the R3 single-family detached residence district. Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. Findings of fact. In order to fulfill its mission of educating the public in a safe and secure environment, the applicant desires to construct a vestibule which will serve as a secure visitor's entrance and which will enhance the safety features of the school. If these variances requests are denied, the school could not expand for safety reasons and could not yield a reasonable return. Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. Findings of fact. The school was originally constructed in 1927 and fully built out in 1965 and is currently non-conforming as to floor area ratio and lot coverage. The school was conforming in this regard when expanded most recently in 1965 and did not create this nonconformity. Future expansion is impossible without these variances. The variation, criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. Findings of fact. This modest one-story expansion will increase the floor area ratio by only 1% and the lot coverage by only 1%. The architecture will match the existing architecture of the school. This proposed 448-foot expansion is consistent with the existing school and will not alter the character of the neighborhood.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are in agreement with findings of fact for a variance. I'll remind you that this finding of fact will handle both variances. Under Planning and Zoning, item 16010, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees. Item A, zoning code variance request for relief from the maximum allowable floor area ratio in the R3 single-family detached residence district.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sharp, seconded by Commissioner Pill. Question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes?
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Chairman Richard?
Yes. Item B, I would entertain a motion to the to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, a zoning code variance request for relief from the maximum allowable lot coverage in the R3 single-family detached residence district.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Bartel, seconded by Commissioner Van Buren. Question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes?
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard.
Yes. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees. Item C, site and landscaping approval to construct a building addition.
So moved?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pill, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Question on the motion? A roll call, please.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Pill?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Chairman Richard.
Yes. Okay, folks, you have our recommendation for approval, and staff can tell you when you go before the committee of the whole. Would you want these back? Staff? Any questions, notes?
Just a reminder that we're going to be switching over email addresses to your westmont.il.gov addresses. So if you have any questions, please let us know, and we'll set up an appointment with IT if there's anything specific that you have. I know, Wally, you had a good experience with IT, correct?
Yeah.
And then, yes?
Don't put it on your cell phone.
Right. And just a reminder, we have the special Hilton special use variance site plan review meeting next week. That'll be next Wednesday. So we'll be sending out packets Friday.
Jill, I know we
Jill's-
did.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, you're bringing pizza for that meeting, right?
Yes, yes. Drinks and pizza.
No pressure.
I
We have a
discussed with
reviewer
you,
here.
the freedom of information
Yes.
with, that we have to go through with Lisa Madigan. No, I'm sorry, the Open Meetings Act.
Oh,
Open
yeah, the
Meetings
OMA Act. Mhm.
Now, all of us that have, is there a time limit on that?
I don't believe so. John, do you know any differently? I think that once you do it, you don't have
Or
to.
do we have to requalify?
You don't have to do it
No,
every
once you
year.
do it, you're fine.
We're fine, okay.
You just have to do it, I think, within the first year of you
Being in office, right?
being in office.
Well, one of them I have to do every year with the county.
Yeah, that's to say that you haven't taken any
That's the
appropriate-
economic
Yeah, the economic interest one.
disclosure statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
No, there's a test we have to go through every year, too.
okay, that's different.
Yeah. I forget if a FOIA or if it was,
Any commissioner comments whatsoever? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Bartel, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.